I see that there are a number of reasons why your solutions really work. Can you elaborate on these for me?
Absolutely. So there's four major reasons. So the first thing that we've considered is we've said we waste so much time every day, consumption time. So our first objective is to convert that consumption time, things like commuting, into learning time. The second thing that we do is we offer a blended learning approach. So the blended learning approach means that you're exposed to a whole lot of different learning materials consistently throughout your day. Like audiobooks, for example, you arrive at a venue, listen to an audiobook which has inspired you, and you go into your customer, you're really motivated and you want to tackle your day. The third one is we teach people how to perform all the right activities. So when we talk about right activities, remember most sales organizations say, you've got to do a lot, and absolutely you do need to do a lot, but it's no good doing a lot of the wrong stuff. So we first of all teach people how to identify the right activities to perform, and then once we've taught them how to perform the right activities, we have an amazing system where we teach them to optimize how they use their available time on a daily basis.
Okay, great. So can you elaborate on the converting consumption time into learning time for us?
Absolutely. So let's just have a look. And most salespeople, and this is good, average people. So average people commute about 500 hours a year. That's equivalent to 2 semesters at university. Mm-hmm. So we take in that consumption time. Remember, salespeople commute a lot more than that. So we take in that consumption time and we're turning it into investment time, i.e. learning time. And the way we do that is we create audiobooks. So the audiobooks do 3 things. Firstly, it helps you to use that consumption time effectively, that 2 semesters at university. But what it also does is it supports you to convert short-term memory to long-term memory. So when you need that information, it's available to you. And the third thing that it does is it helps you to organize that knowledge. Because I mean, you remember writing an exam where you wrote the exam and couldn't remember, but woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning? Well, I don't want you to do that as a sales professional. I want you to be sitting in that sales meeting when you need that information to be able to recall that information, because that may very well be that single piece of information that's going to help you to close that sale.
Okay. And then can you tell us a little bit more about your learner delivery methodology, your blended learner
approach? Absolutely. So if we have a look, most sales trainings, and I think that's why people are so anti getting involved or engaging in sales training, is it's generally a 3-day program, a 5-day program, and you go out and everybody comes back and they're inspired and motivated for a very short period of time, but that wanes very quickly. And also because it hasn't been delivered consistently, because remember, learning is about repetition. If we're going to take learning and convert it into application, we've got to repeat it until we first of all understand it, and once we understand it, then we have to have a way of unlocking it. And that's what our learner delivery methodology does, is we look at it from every angle. We have audiobooks, helps with understanding short-term, long-term memory. We have our learner management system, which is our online system, which converts. First of all, it helps with understanding through videos and audios, etc. But most importantly, it unlocks. So it takes understanding and it converts understanding into doing or application. So we look at our blended learning approach, looks at consistently reminding so that it creates great understanding, but more importantly, it works on taking understanding and converting it into doing.
Okay. And then how do you guide your students to perform all those correct activities, the right activities in their available time?
Okay, so we considered this, and this is where I believe most salespeople make the biggest mistake of their lives, is they have one objective, right? And that single objective they have is their annual sales target. And so they drive everything they do, and they should drive everything they do towards achieving that sales target. But the challenge is, how do you eat an elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? So that's what we've designed, is we've broken back that big, hairy, audacious single objective. We've broken it back into what can I do on a daily basis. So we start off and we say, what objectives do I have? So in order for me to achieve that big, hairy elephant at the end of the year, right, I've got to do certain things every single day. So we break it back and we teach our students to break that activity back into: how many clients do I need to research? How many clients do I need to see? How many clients do I need to call on a daily basis? Now, here's the amazing thing. We break that back to today, but when we change the objective into an activity, we have a wonderful thing. We have a tool. So we have an objective. We need to achieve this outcome today, within this week or within this month, to achieve our big objective at the end of the year. So we are very carefully evaluating our activities very early on. In fact, the first day, the first week, we're starting to say, are those activities delivering the outcomes we want? If they're not, what do? We change the activities.
So you're not getting to the end of the year and then putting out fires.
Or get to the end of that first quarter and you go, my goodness, we're in trouble, right? We are addressing the activity, because remember, activities turn into the results. So we are looking at the activities very early on against the big objective, but we've broken that objective back to today, this week, this month, so we can evaluate what we're doing against what we need very, very early on.
Awesome. So what gets measured basically gets done.
Absolutely. So it's not just a measurement. So the objectives serve two purposes. Objectives create the activities, and then we measure the activities against the objectives, and the objectives, as we achieve them, will help us to achieve our major objective, which is our sales target at the end of the year.
Okay. And then how do you empower your sales professionals to master their sales day?
It's actually a lot easier than it sounds. I mean, most salespeople will go, I don't have enough time in the day. Well, that's just because they're approaching their day incorrectly, right? So we understand the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. We understand that 20% of your activities deliver 80% of your outcomes. We teach you how to identify those 80% of your outcomes. We also teach you that we have 3 methods of carrying out our activities every day. Those 3 methods are our to-do list, our calendar, and our habits, and we work on all 3. So we understand that our to-do list, most things or virtually everything that goes on your to-do list, is something you can delegate. In other words, it's an activity to avoid pain. For example, someone wants me to send information to them, I can add it to my to-do list, and I can just ask somebody, would you mind sending that information? But then we get to our calendar. Now, our calendar is where we put our activities for gain. Now, activities for gain are things like learning, sitting in front of customers, the things that we can't delegate to other people. So we teach them how to understand you need to do as many activities for gain as you possibly can every single day. You need to find ways, innovative ways, because generally activities to avoid pain are less important. So can we find ways to delegate them? Can we find ways, innovative ways, maybe to do them at the end of our day when we're less energized, etc. And most importantly, we teach you a system to convert. You see, remember, we are creating, through our objectives, we're creating, this is the activities you need to perform. We measure our activities against those objectives to make sure they're delivering the outcomes we want. And we keep polishing and honing our activities. Once we know what the right activities are, we keep reminding you to perform those activities for, research shows, 66 days. We do it for 90 days. So we remind you to perform those activities for 90 days until the right sales activities becomes your new entrenched sales success habit. So when we look at helping our people with getting the most out of their day, we let them consider their to-do list, their calendar, and their habits, and we support them to understand how to interpret each. And most importantly, seen as though 96% of what we do every day is driven by our habits, we teach, we guide, we remind until those right activities becomes what our students do on autopilot. And that way they smash their sales target every single year.
It sounds like a fantastic solution for any sales professional out there.
Absolutely. That's why we're so confident that it works.